TIFU by pretending to be my friend's boyfriend, and getting too deep. I swear this all started as a joke. My best friend Jess called me in a panic one random Wednesday night, saying her parents were flying in from Vermont for her mom's birthday. Now, normally this would be a cool, have fun kind of update, except Jess has been feeding them this massive lie for months. According to her parents, she's been in a serious relationship with a wonderful, grounded guy named Chris. Who, in reality, doesn't exist. Guess what my name is? Yep. Chris. Apparently, she used me as the placeholder name when she invented this imaginary boyfriend because she didn't think they'd ever meet him. And now, thanks to a last-minute family dinner reservation and a mother who guilt-tripped her into inviting the boyfriend, she needed me to step in. You just have to pretend for one meal, she said, pacing her apartment like she was trying to summon courage out of the carpet. Just dinner. A couple laughs. Hold my hand once or twice. It'll be fun. I'm a people pleaser and also kind of stupid, so naturally, I agreed. That was my first mistake. The second was trying too hard. I figured if I was going to be fake boyfriend Chris, I might as well commit. So I dressed nice, brought flowers for her mom, even memorized a few inside jokes Jess and I never actually had. You know, little stories to fill the gaps, how we met, what our first date was like, blah blah blah. Dinner went too well. Her mom loved me. Her dad called me a stand-up guy. We clinked wine glasses, laughed at made-up stories, and I swear at one point Jess's mom started tearing up because she thought I was the one for her daughter. And here's the thing that should have made me bail right then, when we got back to Jess's apartment after dinner, she hugged me and said, "Thank you." That was perfect. I think they bought it. And then she added, "But, they want to meet you again this weekend." So yeah. That's how this fake boyfriend thing turned into a recurring role. And I really should have gotten out before her aunt started following me on Facebook. So I'm standing in front of Jess's apartment mirror that Saturday night, Googling casual boyfriend outfit like I'm prepping for an undercover mission. I don't even own flannel, but suddenly I'm trying to look like someone's charming, stable, future son-in-law. Jess looked too relaxed when I showed up. Like she had no idea we were now spiraling into a sitcom episode where the audience just starts clapping when the fake couple walks in. "Okay, so Aunt Rachel's gonna be there," she said, casually throwing on earrings. "And possibly my cousin Kara. They asked if we'd bring the deviled eggs from that one recipe you made." "What recipe?" "You know. The one I told them about. With paprika." I stared at her like she was assembling a Jenga tower with live bees. Anyway, we showed up to what I thought was going to be a small dinner with her parents and a couple relatives. It turned out to be a mini family reunion. There were 21 people. 21. I was shaking hands, hugging strangers, posing for photos I never consented to, and recounting a fake trip Jess and I allegedly took to Charleston that I had to improvise on the spot. "Oh my God, remember the raccoon?" she whispered under her breath during a story I was inventing. "The raccoon," I said louder, like I totally did. "He stole our granola bars." Laughter. Applause. Someone said, "They're adorable." It was hell. But then the weirdest thing happened. I started having fun? Like, Jess and I have always had this easy, bantery thing. But something about performing together, this shared absurd secret, it was hilarious. It felt like we were co-starring in our own weird indie rom-com. She'd finish my fake stories. I'd wink at her uncle like we had a conspiracy. At one point she leaned her head on my shoulder while her grandma said we looked so in sync. And here's where I made my third mistake. I didn't correct her. I didn't say, "Oh, no, we're just faking it." I didn't say, "This is a temporary farce." I just smiled, wrapped my arm around Jess, and let it ride. And then Jess's mom cornered me in the kitchen with a slice of lemon cake and said, "Chris, have you thought about proposing?" I laughed. She didn't. So there I am, holding a slice of lemon cake, trying not to choke on the word proposing. Jess's mom is just staring at me with those intense, hopeful mom eyes, the kind that say I already picked out a venue and the color scheme is sage and cream. I laugh nervously and say something like, well, I think we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. She gives me a little nod, the kind that says, so you're saying there is a bridge. I escaped to the bathroom after that and stared at myself in the mirror like I was in a psychological thriller. What is happening? This was supposed to be a one-time dinner. Now I'm fielding hypothetical engagement questions like I'm actually part of this family. At one point, someone handed me a baby. A baby. I don't even know whose it was. I made it through the rest of the night by sticking close to Jess and quietly panic-eating mini quiches. When we finally got back to her place, I collapsed on the couch. Okay, I said, I think this has officially gone too far. Jess flopped down beside me, kicked off her shoes, and sighed. Yeah, probably. There was a beat of silence. Then she turned to me and said, but, you were really good tonight. Thanks, I said. I've always dreamed of being emotionally adopted by someone else's family under false pretenses. She laughed. I mean it, though. You fit. I didn't know what to say to that. Because the weird thing is, I kind of felt like I fit, too. Don't get me wrong. I knew it was fake. We were faking. But there were these little moments, laughing in the kitchen, her leaning her head on my shoulder, the way she looked at me when I made her grandma laugh, it didn't feel fake. It felt like something I wanted to be real. That realization hit me like a truck. Which is exactly when the universe decided to pile on. Because the next morning, Jess sent me a text. Hey. Super random. My ex just DM'd me. Apparently he saw one of the photos from last night. He wants to catch up. Cool. So now her ex is involved. Just what I needed in this romantic identity crisis soup I'm cooking in my brain. I stared at Jess's text like it was a bomb that hadn't gone off yet. My ex just DM'd me. Apparently he saw one of the photos from last night. He wants to catch up. Why is it that exes always come crawling back at the most cinematic moment possible? Like they've got internal radar for drama. I texted back something cool and chill like. LOL ah. Drama eyes. Internally, I was not chill. I was standing in my kitchen, halfway through pouring cereal, suddenly feeling like I was in a romantic subplot I didn't audition for. Jess called 5 minutes later. So, that's weird, right? She said, not sounding nearly as weirded out as I'd hoped she would be. What did he say? He was like, you looked really happy last night. Glad to see you're doing well. Which is code for I didn't expect you to glow up and now I'm spiraling. You did glow up, I said, trying to sound casual and definitely not like someone slowly catching feelings during a fake relationship. She laughed. Thanks, fake boyfriend. There was a weird pause. Then she asked, is it okay if I get coffee with him? Just to clear the air? Now. I want to be clear, we're not dating. This whole thing is fake. I have no right to be bothered. But holy hell was I bothered. Oh. Yeah, I said. Totally. That makes sense. Closure and all. Cool. I'll keep you posted. I hung up and immediately regretted every chill word I said. I stared at the wall for a full minute before realizing my cereal had turned to soup. The next day, she actually went. They met at some trendy place with wooden chairs and exposed brick and a name like Grain or Root. I told myself not to be weird, not to spiral, not to stalk her Instagram stories like a feral cat. And I didn't. Mostly because she sent me a selfie of them together. Captioned. Look who I ran into. I didn't even know how to process that emoji. It felt like a nuclear bomb wrapped in a shrug. I didn't reply. And then I didn't text her the next morning either. That's when she called me. Are you mad? She asked. I tried to play it cool. Why would I be mad? She didn't say anything for a second. Then. Chris, is this still fake? And I swear, the world stopped turning for half a beat. Chris, is this still fake? I heard her voice in my ear but couldn't think of anything to say. My brain was running Windows 98 and had just blue screened. I didn't expect her to be the one to ask. I figured I'd be the one bottling feelings like a dumb sitcom character until it all exploded in a wedding toast or something. But here she was. Asking. Gently. Directly. And I had no idea what the right answer was. I finally said, it started fake. Yeah, I know how it started, she said softly. But is it still, a bit? I sat down on the edge of my bed, chewing the inside of my cheek like it had done me wrong. I looked at the wall, at the floor, at my own stupid reflection in my TV screen. And then I said it. I don't think it is anymore. Silence. My heart was doing that thing where it tries to escape your ribcage like a panicked squirrel. Then she said, yeah. Me neither. I let out a breath so loud I probably scared a pigeon on the roof. So what does that mean? I asked, still half in disbelief. Jess laughed nervously. I have no idea. I just know that when I was sitting across from my ex yesterday, all I could think was, he missed it. He missed me. But somehow, you didn't. There was a long, soft quiet between us. And then she added. My mom wants to throw a dinner next weekend. She wants to get to know you better. As in. Real you. Do I still bring fake deviled eggs? She snorted. No, this time you can just show up as you. Okay, I said, smiling without even realizing it. I can do that. After we hung up, I laid on my bed staring at the ceiling. I'd agreed to this whole charade thinking it would be one awkward meal, a quick laugh, a story we'd laugh about for years. Now I was dating my best friend. Maybe. And somehow, it felt real. Messy. Complicated. Terrifying. But real. I've never sweated through a button-up shirt so fast in my life. I was technically just going over to Jess's parents' house for dinner. I'd done it before. Multiple times, in fact. I knew where they kept the extra napkins and which wine her dad liked. But this time? This time, I was coming over as me. Not fake boyfriend Chris. Not flirty, over-prepared dinner guest Chris. Just Chris. The guy who accidentally fell for his best friend while pretending to be someone she made up. Jess picked me up around 6. She looked nervous, which was oddly comforting because I felt like I had bees in my bloodstream. You okay? I asked. She nodded, then smiled a little. Yeah. I told them. About us. Sort of. Sort of? I told them we started out as a joke, but that it turned real. That we didn't mean to let it get this far. And that now, we're seeing what it might actually be. Oh. Cool, I said, trying not to visibly implode. And how did they take it? She gave me a look. Well, my mom cried. From anger or? From happiness. She said she knew we were meant to be from the second you brought her that lemon cake. Okay. Deep breaths. I could do this. Probably. We walked in and were immediately pulled into the warm vortex of family dinner chaos. Her dad gave me a long handshake and a subtle nod like, I know everything, but I still like you. Her mom hugged me so hard I dropped my coat. And then, bless her soul, just grabbed my hand under the table and didn't let go the entire meal. There were questions, of course. Her aunt asked, so when exactly did it stop being fake? Her grandma said, I knew you two had that sparkle. Even her cousin Kara was like, wait, are you actually in love? Or just, like, movie in love? I looked at Jess. She looked at me. And she said, ask us again in a few weeks. It was the most honest answer in the room. Later, after everyone had gone to bed or peeled off for Netflix and decaf, we sat on the porch swing. The night was chilly, but not cold. Quiet, but not awkward. Jess looked at me and said, "This is weird, right?" "The weirdest. But kinda good?" "The best kind of weird," I said. And then she kissed me. No pretending. No audience. No fake stories. Just us. I woke up the next morning to a text from Jess. "Still real. Still good. Son." It took me a second to remember that we weren't faking it anymore. Like, I was so used to the bit, to living in this improv bubble where we performed our relationship for everyone else, that I forgot what it felt like to just be in it. No scripts. No audience. Just real feelings. Jess and I started spending even more time together after that. And it felt different now. Familiar, yeah, but also charged with this weird combination of comfort and possibility. Every accidental brush of her hand or inside joke from the fake boyfriend days suddenly had this new weight. Like, oh, that wasn't just acting. That was you. That was me. That was us trying to say something without saying it. The weird part? Some of our friends didn't even believe us when we told them it was real now. Like my roommate Nate. When I told him Jess and I were actually dating, he blinked twice and said, "Wait, you mean you weren't dating this whole time?" "No. That was all fake." "Dude. She literally baked you banana bread and called you her soulmate in front of my mom." Okay, maybe it got a little real before it got real. Still, things weren't perfect. There was this awkward in-between phase, like we were walking a balance beam between the person we pretended to be and the people we were becoming. We both had to admit stuff we hadn't wanted to say out loud. Like how I was terrified she only liked the idea of me, of the perfect, performative boyfriend who knew how to talk to her grandma and invent romantic Charleston raccoon stories. And Jess? She was scared that I was just in love with the moment. The fake version of us. The story. One night, we were watching a movie and I paused it halfway through, not even sure what I was doing, and said, "You know this could go terribly, right?" She didn't even flinch. Yeah. But so could anything worth trying. I kissed her. Hard. Because that was the moment I realized she wasn't just my best friend or my co-conspirator in chaos. She was the person I chose, even after the performance ended. It's funny how a story that started with a lie ends up being the most honest thing in your life. 3 months after the dinner, capital T, capital D, Jess and I were still together, officially, actually, messily together. Not perfect, but real. We dropped the fake boyfriend bit, but not entirely. Sometimes at parties, one of us would wink and say, "Oh, we're just pretending, just to mess with people." It became our little inside joke, a nod to the madness that started it all. What surprised me the most was how easy it became once we stopped acting. There was no pressure to impress. No need to memorize fake vacations or invent charming anecdotes. We started learning.